I owe a lot to the Fire Emblem Cipher community. It was one of my main hobbies collecting these cards, as it allowed me to stay connected with the game, and it also enabled me to meet some of the nicest and most genuine people in the FE community to this day. Shout out CypherDad, Zelfie, Decipher, and so much more. On top of that, a Fire Emblem Cipher art video that I made was also one of the first videos that caught the attention of many to my channel's existence. And so I owe a lot to this game. While I never had any stellar results playing in the amateur tournaments, I've always been thankful to every single one of the opponents that I met and the mentors that also taught me the many strategies and fun ideas that this game has to offer. Therefore, I will always champion this game despite the language barrier and what looks to be the end of development support since the beginning of last year. But with all this time that I've sunken into the game, and subsequently not sunken into this game, I've always been fascinated by how well represented a lot of the characters are. For instance, Joshua, a character that appears in Fire Emblem 8, is notoriously known to gamble, even betting against himself at times, but still somehow winning at the end of the day. In Fire Emblem Cipher, you literally flip a coin on whether or not the top card of your deck is Joshua. Upon the opponent guessing correctly, your attack doesn't go through, but if your opponent doesn't guess correctly, you get to take one of your opponent's orbs, Fire Emblem Cipher's health bar. It's these little details that I think really pulls this game together and allows us to enjoy our favorite characters in a completely different way, and that's what I'll be discussing in today's video. Starting with Eldigan, the leader of the Cross Knights. The boys, as I like to call them, Sigurd, Eldigan, and Quan, are some of my personal favorite Fire Emblem characters and Cipher decks that I got the pleasure of playing in their heydays. But Eldigan more specifically has an ability known as Cross Knights Move Out, a reference to his position as leader of the elite cavalier squad from Augustria. Thanks to this ability, as long as you have two Eldigans in your bond zone, a sort of mana/land system that some of you guys may know from other card games, you're able to really bring out, for free, any cavalier unit from this zone and onto the board. It requires a little bit of planning to properly use, but thanks to this ability, you're able to handpick your own elite cavalier squad to fight alongside Eldigan, just like how he did when assembling his own team. And of course, Yggdrasil is no stranger to some of the best cavalier units that this series has to offer. And for those that were sad about Eldigan's ending in Fire Emblem 4, fear not, as in this game you're able to play the boys alongside Eldigan. It may not be optimal, but what is playing optimal when your heart says to do so? But before I completely finish talking about Eldigan, there is a card that goes into this deck that acts as both Eldigan's best finisher and as a card that has a neat reference to one of Yggdrasil's best skill combinations in Pursuit, Charge, and Adept. Of course, I'm talking about Beowulf, where upon his promotion in this game gains Adept like he would in Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War. And thanks to his newfound ability, Beowulf is able to attack 4 times in a row as long as you have the resources to do so, thanks to his ability, Sword Fighting Adept, Merciless Follow-Up, and Slaying a Cost. These are all abilities that activate one after the other if you want to push for game like you would to finish off one of the more difficult to take care of units in Fire Emblem 4. But honestly, enough about Yggdrasil games. Let's skip ahead to Tellius and talk about the final boss of the game, Radiant Dawn, Ashura. Ashura is the goddess of order, stability, and law. Void of any emotion, she casts those that she deems too chaotic in nature to be erased from existence. While she fell into slumber, vowing to cast her judgment upon this world if the conflict between Beork and Laguz isn't solved in the 2,000 years she'll be asleep for. But upon the peak of the Battle of Benyon and Laguz, she awoke, turning everyone to stone except those that were saved by her other half's blessing, Yune, the goddess of chaos. Ashura is a genuine threat, and a lot of the continent of Tellius hinges on JaeAIK, and really only JaeAIK, to save this world. And in Fire Emblem Cipher, her 5 cost is a great representation to how big of a threat she really is. Her first ability, Premature Awakening, allows you to cheat her high cost out onto the board for much less, where if you have 3 or more green bond cards, you can reduce her cost by 2, a little reference to how she awoke much earlier than her promised wake-up time. Her second ability, Light of Judgment, is my personal favorite, as she can purge anyone with the same cost of the top card of your deck on your opponent's side of the field, with the exception of the main character. This, of course, showcasing how she wiped all of Tellius, with the exception of those that were blessed. While this has a hard once per turn clause, there is no other cost that you really have to pay in order to activate this ability, whereas other destruction effects would end up costing something. This just really goes to show how incredibly powerful she really is. And of course, she also comes with her signature skill, Mantle, where those that are unworthy, which in this case are 2 cost or lower units, cannot damage her. I think Ashura is one of the best examples of showcasing her powers in a physical card game format. From her waking up early, her immense power to wipe out continents, and of course, her infamous Mantle. But I can't talk about Fire Emblem without talking about the character that started it all, Marth. I won't bother to tell you the story of Marth, but like his personality in the games, Fire Emblem Cipher's depiction of Marth is honestly no different, as a lot of his signature abilities hinges on having good allies that surround him. For instance, one of his newest cards, Marth, heir to the Fire Emblem, cannot activate his skill, Fate of Ability, unless there are more allies on your side of the board. And in the same set, his promoted version, Marth, Light-Bringing Hero Kings, Skill 2, Glory to Our Star and Savior, is also pretty much worthless unless you have a decently strong board already set up. But out of all these Marths, my personal favorite is Series 13 Marth, hero chosen by the Exalted Blades and is lovingly dubbed the Exodia in Fire Emblem Cipher. While Exodia in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is notoriously known for finishing off the opponent when you have all 5 pieces in your hand, and the Mind Crush, Marth makes you submit to himself through the power of his friends. While Series 13 Marth isn't always an instant win condition, as you do need to get your opponent to 0 orbs, as long as you can do so and then tap 5 allies, you instantly win the game. Of course, smart players will just use their resources before they get to their last orb, but it is just a nice touch to Marth's character, where if he can resolve conflict peacefully, you'll take that route, something that's echoed throughout the main lords of the series. Maybe minus Leaf, that guy's pretty unhinged. But anyways, that just about does it for today's video. I love Fire Emblem Cipher, and I tried to choose some of my favorite representations in multiple different entry points of the series. But I'm curious to know if you own Fire Emblem Cipher cards of your own, or what your personal favorite card is. And if you'd like to support what I do, leave a like and subscribe for more content. But as always, this has been JaeAIK, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys next time.